opens with week 10.
David, I was watching these guys practice, and they look like they are super lined up.
Well, they can, even if they're not lined up, they can generally create enough area to hit the pocket. With these two, it's going to be a carry contest.
And so far, Nick's losing.
He's losing so far, you're right.
George Hensley, age 27, 725 to qualify, 5th TV appearance. This guy is a veteran. Expect big numbers.
George Hensley has been around forever. As you stated, though, Jen, we haven't seen him in a while, but his talent is right up there, and it's as sharp as ever. Qualified with a 725 to come back on the BPA King of Bowling. George Hensley, right-hand lane, goes through the heart and leads the 2-7, the baby split.
No, really, these guys were really lined up. I mean it.
Hey, I believe you, Jen. I believe you. Lanes 21 and 22 here at Delfair Lanes. And George Hensley opens in frame number 1 by chopping the baby split.
George is averaging 226. Very impressive.
Again, both players very capable of striking, and once they find the range, continue to strike time after time again. But as anyone else, it takes a few shots, and like you said, in warm-ups they appeared to be ready, but you might squeeze the ball just a hair, as in George's case. He's been away for a while. There you go. There you go. The love tap on the 7-pin.
David, some very big news about Nick Vogelgesang. Just got back from the Super Bowl high roller, $100,000.
What about the big? Did he win something?
He won $100,000. Super Bowl high roller.
No, well, Nick is capable, my goodness, but 100 grand.
Isn't that awesome?
Nick escapes from the left coast with that much money.
That's right. Ooh. That's the hard part.
Well, he's very capable. I was talking to him before we went on the air, and he mentioned that his opponent helped him out a little bit by opening in the 8th, 9th, and 10th frames. And Nick went ahead and doubled and just vaulted right ahead for 100,000. But his opponent was very happy to win 50. So, yeah. That's a good news, bad news. Enough playing. Let's see if he can untrack it. Yep, there we go. That's the powerful strike.
That's the Nick we know. All 10 pins in the pit. Excellent execution.
George Hensley. Let's see if George can crash the pocket, as Nick just did. On the right-hand lane, let's see what happens. He stays down, he gets through it. Yes.
Wow. Now, those were the kind of strikes I was watching in practice. This is what I am anticipating, lots of strikes, just like that.
George Hensley, right-hand lane, gives us what we're looking for, staying down, getting through the ball with a lot of authority. Fills up the 1-2 pocket, and does he like it? George Hensley participates in every part of this game, from the foul line up and as the pins fall down.
That's a 10 on reaction, I would say. On 1 to 10, that was a 10.
That's right up there. The intensity is on his face. You can see it. Uh-oh, bad shot, bad shot.
Again, leaving the baby split.
Well, the bad shots, we show the great shots. Watch this, total lack of concentration. Spins around the ball, comes up, he knows it right away. It's inside of his target, takes the headpin straight back. Watch it, kicks out the 4-pin, leaving the 2 and the 7. What do you think? Odds of making this are typically about 3 out of 5.
He's already had one shot at
it. Missed it once and missed
Went
it
the other
again.
way.
Ooh.
Boy, 2 opens against Nick Vogelgesang. Look out.
Nick, I'm sure, is saying thank you very much. Looks like he's asking for a re-rack on the right-hand lane. And sometimes that is done because there is something wrong with the rack. And sometimes it's done just to reorganize your thoughts and put a little extra pressure on your opponent.
He's looking at the rack, so there must have been a pin off spot. Likes this one now.
Oh my. Oh my.
Oh, re-racks and leaves a solid 8.
Well.
Oh my.
Take a look at it here. Watch the pin action as the ball cuts through the pocket. Don't take your eyes off of the 1 and the 5. Middle of your screen. Don't move them. Don't move them. Don't move them. Their 5 pin gets just hacksawed straight back with too much power, Jen.
Of course, last week Nick lost on that terrible break, and
Two
here
hits.
it is again.
2 hits he lost last time, and 2 weeks ago it was it wasn't his fault, but he lost.
Nick looks up at us like it's our fault or something, Dave. He's like, what can I do?
Not for me, man. Not my fault. But Nick, being the great competitor that he is and has been around the game, he's been on the receiving end of some great breaks. Here of late, on the receiving end is some not so good breaks. The Miller Genuine Drafts drops down, and
David, you have to admit, 3 opens in a row against your opponent throwing 3 opens in a row, you know, for 100,000. Good break, so he got them all in one chunk.
George Hensley trails by 14s as he goes to the right-hand lane to see if he can mount some sort of attack, and that was pretty close.
Oh, that pin spun around 3 times, David, and missed it every time.
Well, if it's not meant to be, it's just not going to happen, right? There you see the 10 pin, and George will typically, if you're shooting a cross lane, you take a total of 10 boards, either 5 to the right with your mark and 5 to the left with your feet, or a total of 10 in either one, and that'll typically bring back the spare for you. Here you see the Pepsi BPA scoreboard showing Mr. Hensley trailing by 14 pins at this point, with Nick striking in the 5th to give him the advantage. So George has got to get on the ball. There you see on his right hand one of the 300 awards that he has amassed over the years. One of 5 300 games that George has thrown, along with 5 800s. Now that's a very unusual ratio, Jen.
It sure is.
Yeah, equal number of 300s and 800s. Typically, we see someone like Nick throwing a lot of 300 games, and
25 to be exact. Thanks.
Yeah, 25 300s, and then I think he's got, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 800s. Who knows with Nick anymore? But equal number of 300s and 800s for George. Very, very unusual. Right-hand lane. Let's see if Nick can do it to it. Yes.
Nick describes his style as either A, a power stroker, or B, grip it and rip it.
That's
I think he's going for B today.
That's typically what he is very capable of doing.
Of course, Nick has 2 children, Nicholas and Tiffany. Very nice kids.
Going high and leaving the 4 pin. Well, Nick has not been carrying the way that he's used to carrying, but he must have carried out west, and for $100,000, even though we're giving away some pretty good cash here on the king, Nick would, I'm sure, trade the $100,000 for a couple of lost hits here on Sunday.
Nick's currently averaging 231. Not too shabby. Lives out on the west side of town.
George Hensley, 24 pins in the rears right now. He can close that by 10 if he strikes right here. Let's watch.
Boy, was that a bad break, David?
What a great shot, Jennifer. He just regroups, makes a super shot, flushes the 1-2 pocket, and a 7-pin. Take a look at it here. The second pin from the left-hand side of your screen, that's a 4-pin. Don't take your eyes off of it. It's the culprit right there. Its assignment is to take out the 7. It goes around the belly, does not do its job. Makes a spare easily, and George still has to figure out what's going on with only 3 frames left.
Not impossible, though. Very big frames coming up. But he's going to need to string them from here on out for sure.
"25 pins. Can cut that by 10 with a strike."
That could be all she wrote there.
Just about sealed his own fate with just a terrible shot. Again, maybe a couple of 3 years away here for George has created a little unusual tension or stress for him, because we're not used to seeing George throw a shot that poorly in a critical position. Wisely takes 2, though. You never know what your opponent is going to do. So he takes the 2 pins out. 129 in the 8th frame. That's about 40 or 50 pins below what he's used to posting in the 8th frame.
Lanes 21 and 2 at Del Fair Lanes in the heart of Delhi.
Nick Vogelgesang smelling blood is moving in for the kill, right? There you see the Pepsi scoreboard. 148 in the 7th with a strike working. George Hensley open in the 8th with a 129. Another strike here just about puts it away. Oh, jeez. On the put-away shot, the one to just completely put it out of reach, a ringing 10-pin. Nick gets to the line very well this time. Now keep your eyes on the 6-pin from the right-hand side of your screen. Second one just goes into the 10, or the channel there, and just dies before it gets to the 10.
George looks very disappointed, but we'll see him back again. As long as he's back in bowling, we're going to see him on King of TV. 725 he had to qualify to make it here today. He's going to get a nice check to go home with him.
Well, I don't know if George is having any hand problems or not, but look at his hand, Jennifer. He's got some tape around those fingers, and I know when I was having some ligament and tendon damage in my hand, that's what I went to alleviate some of the pain. Now, I'm not making excuses for George Hensley. He really doesn't need excuses, but if he is having problems with that hand, he's not going to be able to get through the ball cleanly and with any authority and the good clean roll that he's used to doing. See right there on his fingers, he's actually even has the index finger and the middle finger taped, and then the little finger and the left finger taped together. I mean, it looks like a mess. And he just doesn't have the good, clean, powerful roll that we're used to seeing.
No, that is so true. George typically up in the 220 range on most of his games. Great average.
Well, let's see if he can bring back the spare, and he does. He's going to finish out in the 160 range, and well, like you said, Jen, 160 something is, you ready for this, folks? 60 pins below his average. So not a good day for George Hensley.
I'm sure he appreciates you bringing that up, by the way.
Well, being the mathematical wizard that I am, I had to bring that up.
Nick's going to finish out, and he's going to go on to meet the king, Dwayne Hatton.
Quickly up in the throw because the match is in the bag. George Hensley finishing with 167. Very disappointed, but a great sportsman. Wishing Nick luck in the next match, and George will be picking his stuff up and moving on. Nick Vogelgesang will be moving on to match number 3. All right, the winner of this match, Nick Vogelgesang, defeating George Hensley. He's going to finish up, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes with match number 3.
You know, that son of mine is
$5 with the winning score from the championship game, and you get his and her AMF, the Legacy C.